What do you think it is about America that allowed it to create this currency that was so powerful that the globe had to take notice? And, what is it that America has to offer?
We are by far the largest economy in the world. China is gaining, but they're way behind us. I mean, they're gaining. There's no doubt about it. They're gaining, and their industrial production at this point is enormous and growing very rapidly. But still, they are way behind us. But we are by far the dominant economy in the world still.
But what allowed America to become that dominant economy? What is it about
the free enterprise system, which we had in much, much, much fuller measure than any other industrial country. Very hardworking people. We were blessed enough to get people from all nations of the world who are very hardworking and industrious. In the period after the Civil War, there was a stupendous growth of basic industry, coal and steel and oil especially. This growth was so enormous and so powerful that its power actually was one of the decisive factors in winning World War II. And we just had what it took to make the country grow and be a very, very successful country.
So it sounds like you're contributing a lot of what America had to offer was values within the people, their hard work.
Hard work, yes. We've had and have amazingly hardworking people.
What do you think would happen to America if we lose the power of the dollar?
If the U.S. is going to fall into a lower economic state, it will be slow and gradual. And for hardworking, energetic men and women, it will be still possible to have a very good life. The U.S. was a very, very, very powerful economy. It's and still a very, very powerful economy. There's nothing like it. I mean, yes, China is growing rapidly, no doubt about it, growing incredibly rapidly. But the life and the income of the average Chinese worker, man or woman, is just nothing compared to the U.S. It's interesting. People look up and say and quote all the time the gross domestic product of China versus the gross domestic product of the U.S., and they find correctly that the gross domestic product of China is rising. But if you compare the individual income of each Chinese human being with the individual income of each American human being, the difference is unbelievable. Americans are just so much better off.
So do you see the U.S. dollar continuing to hold that amount of power as we go forward?
I don't know how. I mean, that amount is a vague term, but it will have. I don't see anything else coming on the scene to replace it. It's interesting that the Chinese currency is a very valuable currency, and obviously, as has been said innumerable times, China is an industrial powerhouse. There's no doubt about that. But nobody seems to be wanting to store all of its value in Chinese currency. Japan is an incredibly powerful country. Germany, I guess, is the third largest industrial power after the United States. Nobody's offering to, after the United States and China, I don't think anyone is suggesting that they want to hold all their national wealth in euros. The dollar is, it's it. The dollar is it, because the dollar is the unit of currency of the dominant economic power in the world. We see young people, I read in the paper all the time about young people, and I guess even middle-aged people, saying that they would prefer socialism to capitalism. They have no idea what socialism is. They're just completely ignorant about it. Yes, there are some wealthy countries that call themselves socialist, like Denmark or Sweden, but they're not really socialist. They have very good welfare systems, but they're not socialist at all in terms of their economic output. The government doesn't own the means of production. Even China is doing extremely well, mostly because of privately owned corporations and privately owned output. And there's never been a country in history that was really, really prosperous that was means of production were owned by the state. There's never been one. I mean, even not people say, well, what about Nazi Germany? Well, Nazi Germany was a largely government dictated country, but it never was anywhere near as rich as the United States, not even remotely. And the big companies in Germany that allowed Hitler to amass such a large armed force were privately owned. They weren't owned by the government. Systems and societies where individuals are as close as possible to the running of the means of production work out far better than countries where a bureaucracy is running things. I'll give you the example of Hollywood, which I came out to in 1976. I've been here a long time. I was amazed at the output of very small companies that make movies and companies that make TV shows. You think of them as being enormous, gigantic studios. They're not. The studios are just a piece of real estate. A very small number of people make these big movies and TV shows, and the amount of value that is added by a successful movie or TV show is breathtaking.
This video is inspired by our PBS series, Reconnecting Roots. Connect with me, Gabe McCauley, and Reconnecting Roots by visiting reconnectingroots.com, where you'll discover music, blogs, behind the scenes, our podcast, and more. Join our email list and never miss a beat.